Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and taking really hopeful, beneficial inspiration for a Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition campaign type from our IRL pandemic, which is finishing. So basically, in America, we're definitely in a spin down on the whole. It's not as much of a concern as it was. It's Comparatively, it's barely a concern at all, right? In America, essentially, America has defeated COVID, right? There are some massive silver linings that have come out of our IRL pandemic for America, and I think American Dungeon Masters should really consider almost having like a rejoicing campaign that kind of takes inspiration from the real world. So, what are some of these IRL hugely beneficial silver linings that came out of the pandemic? First and foremost, there was this big question. There's always been a big question about, is universal healthcare better or is capital markets healthcare better? That question is 100% answered. When the world was faced with a pandemic, every single universal healthcare country in the world was not able to complete even half as many effective vaccinations as America was able to make. All the countries in the world with universal health care were not even able to make, I don't even think the number's even half as many successful vaccination types as America was. America surged past using its capital market healthcare method, just like left every other country in the world combined in the dirt. Right? Then, almost like to put salt in the wound, it then was like, hey, we're done. So if you take every country in the world that's over 100 million and you compare them, not only did we get out of this faster and much healthier, right, than any other country in the world, in addition to that, we're now going to gift you 100 million vaccines, right? So that question is completely over, right? There's no question. Capital market healthcare systems vastly outperform universal healthcare markets. It's not even debatable. The science is in. Universal healthcare does not produce at the rates capital market, more health, more vaccines, better vaccines. It doesn't produce anything. We just saw the test in real time. Universal healthcare was thoroughly defeated, right? Like the question is over. It's answered. Capital market healthcare actually produces real innovation and delivers real vaccines at the level that will save a country with 100 million plus citizens and give them multiple options to choose from, and will have a surplus so high that they can export 100 million doses to the rest of the world. Incredible, right? No universal healthcare country in the world, let alone all of them combined, even come close to touching that, right? So how do we use that for inspiration for our Dungeons & Dragons games? Very easy. We have our Dungeons & Dragons player characters. We put them into a campaign where either a human queendom or a elf queendom or a dwarf queendom has actually, or a combination of those. Well, actually, I don't know if they really have combined queendoms. But so basically one of those queendoms have actually produced a functioning, useful solution to a problem that multiple queendoms are dealing with, right? And then the queen is like, hey, we've gotten so much and we've handled this problem so well, we're now going to export this solution to these other queendoms. And so once you go into that zone, right, it gets very interesting, because you have a situation where the characters are actually transporting whatever it is. It could be magical gems, it could be spells, it could be literally coin, right? It could be potions, whatever another large queendom needs in large scale. You could have a 3 to 6 months game time campaign where the player characters are simply transporting those goods from one queendom to another queendom, right? and at the time of doing that work are dealing with monsters that are, that are getting in the way, non-player characters that are getting in the way, environmental problems that are getting in the way, right? So they're fighting the environment, they're fighting characters, they're fighting monsters. And the nice thing is, it's rough. There's a lot of combat in Dungeons and Dragons, and player characters are killing non-player characters, right? Player characters are killing monsters. Player characters are fighting the environment. Might be, burning whole forests to the ground, and you're like, oh, what's all this for, right? Well, in this campaign, you're gonna have a really good reason. Hey, every single XYZ that whether it be a magic gem, a spell, whatever that's delivered, lives are being saved, and I think that's important. We really need to be thinking about that. There's so much combat and killing in D&D. We need to think about what is the justification for this, right? And I think this is a really good idea. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.